Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 438. Sorry, no episode last week. I wasn't lazy that time. Uh, Whatever ended the Sunday stream the previous week early was the same thing that kept me from streaming the podcast last weekend. So far, my KBAPs are good. Zero dropped frames, so everything's lights are green, trap is clean. So, one of the things I would love to regale your earholes with this week is here in California, specifically San Diego, we've got a gubernatorial primary coming up in a month or so. And actually, about a month. I think it's June 2nd. Um, on that ballot is also a measure. Um, and I got one of those fun flyers that you often get in the mail when election time rolls around. So I thought it would be fun to read over this flyer and learn some things. Because these are always highly informational and you can trust them. They wouldn't be in the mail otherwise. Right? Okay. So it starts out. Says San Diego has a housing affordability crisis. Boy, howdy. I mean, uh, I'm doing pretty well for myself as far as being gainfully employed goes, and even I, at my quite decent salary, am feeling the pinch of $2,000 a month of rent. You know, not including the other things you have to pay for to survive. So, yeah, housing is very difficult to afford. It goes on to say Measure A would make it worse. Oh, well, that's bad. It's already not very affordable here in San Diego, and Measure A making it worse would be worse. Jared, hello. Uh, don't I did I say the wrong state? Okay, yes, I'm talking about California. This is specifically for San Diego. Um, San Diegans, hello, know that housing costs and the cost of living are an urgent crisis. Yes, because if you can't afford living, you die. But instead of doing something about it, the City Hall politicians gave us Measure A $10,000 per home housing tax. Wow, that sounds terrible. Every home gets taxed an additional $1,000 on $10,000 on top of any property tax you're already paying, when rent and mortgages and all that stuff is already super expensive. Yeah, that sounds really bad. Measure A does sound bad. Only City Hall politicians could think raising taxes on homes would help with housing costs. I agree. You know, if making it more expensive to live in my house doesn't make it cheaper to live in my house. So this tracks so far. Then we've got a picture of, can't see it very well, but a picture of like a search bar that says city budget management question. I don't know why that's there. But we've got a couple of quotes from someone who said this at some point on The Voice of San Diego. Mayor Todd Gloria, that's her mayor, set out to fix the city's deficit this year. He didn't. That's a little vague. Not only do I not know who said this or in what context, I'm kind of wondering, like, did he make it worse? Did he make it better but not eliminate it? Did he do nothing? I don't know. I think that one could have used a little bit more information. From this isn't even a quote. This appears to be just a headline from KPBS. People are mad. First ever parking fees at San Diego's Balboa draw anger. Balboa Park, rather, draw anger. Hey, I remember that. Yeah, some of the parking lots are now paid lots. Some of them are not, including the gigantic one that I always park in that always has room and a free shuttle into the park. So, like, I don't want to pay the parking meter either, so I park in that parking lot and I either walk or take the free shuttle. So, but the parking meters are. And, this appears also to be not a quote from anyone, but a headline from the San Diego Union Tribune. A countdown to failure. Independent review blasts bloated staff. Misspending at San Diego City Hall. Okay, that doesn't tell me much. Measure A, just another failed City Hall scheme. It says with a picture of, I guess that's supposed to be City Hall. It's not what ours looks like. And some money raining down on it. Okay. Send a message to failed city politicians. Vote no on Measure A. Wow, I'm a little light on the details, but making a compelling case. Rent is high, and paying an additional $10,000 in tax would suck. Let's see what's on the back. Don't be fooled by Measure A. Well, I'm no fool. Measure A is just another broken promise from City Hall politicians. Patooey! Get the facts. Oh, hey, we've got bullet points here, so definitely some facts. No money for housing programs. Oh, so the tax revenue does not go to housing programs. Where does it go? General fund, or just not specifically housing programs? No money for helping with homelessness. Okay, is it supposed to, or where is the money going? No accountability to taxpayers. Okay. No on Measure A. Well, that is indeed a compelling case. So I thought I should do my due diligence and, look up the text of Measure A, because honestly, when I first read this, when I got in the mail earlier this week, I had no idea what Measure A was. But every registered voter gets a little votey pamphlet mailed to them, and it has the text of every measure and law and whatever you're voting on. So, if you're really curious and for some reason you're just really paranoid and can't trust the flyer that came in the mail, you can actually read the text of the law. I mean, it's available online. They mail it to you. So, let's see. Measure A, non-primary homes tax. Wait, non-primary homes? A $10,000 per home housing tax. Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, I had no idea it was Measure A. And then I read the law and I went, oh yeah, or the measure rather, and I went, oh yeah, I remember this one. So what this actually says is if you own more than one home, the second home, if you don't live in it, if it's empty for more than half the year, next year you owe $8,000 of taxes on it. The following year, if that second home of yours is still empty for more than half a year, then it's $10,000, and it's that plus whatever inflation is going on from there. So, $10,000 per home housing tax. No, not per home, per second home, if you don't live in it for more than half the year. So, this law is intended to help alleviate an issue that we face in this city and many other cities throughout the country, and I'm sure throughout the rest of the world, of people buying up homes, and mostly corporations, but individuals too, buying up homes and sitting on them. Because if a bunch of people and corporations own a bunch of homes and no one lives in them, that reduces the amount of available homes. So it constricts the supply, which means the costs go up. And the homes that these second, third, fourth, and so on homes that people and corporations own that they don't live in go up in value. So if you have enough money, you can buy homes and sit on them, drive up the value, and sell them. Meanwhile, people who do not own more than one home pay more rents and mortgage and stuff like that, and have a lot of difficulty finding places to live in the first place. So that's what this law is meant to do. So, golly, $10,000 per home housing tax, that's kind of a lie. Interesting. Who paid for this? The California Association of Realtors. Oh golly. Oh golly gosh and heck. Looks like the landlords really don't like this law. Oh no. That, not to be a dick about it, but if the landlords are against something, I'm actually kind of inclined to be for it. Let's see, where was the thing I was looking for? Oh, it was actually online. Yeah, there's actually a long list of, I looked up everyone who was, put money into this no on Measure A, and it is almost exclusively, realtors, landlords, real estate agencies, state and, national. So, my point is not to advocate for or against any particular law or measure. My point is, when you get these things in the mail, the very first thing you should do is read the bottom bit here and see who the hell is paying for it. And then keep that in mind if you decide to actually read the text on these. Because someone's paying good money for this, so it's going to be biased or framed in a way that is advantageous to what the people paying money want. So, I would encourage you to not even bother with these things and drop them straight into the trash, or rather, the recycle bin. So, I do kind of find these, darkly amusing sometimes, because they are, a lot of times, very, very dishonest, as you would expect from anyone who's spending a lot of money to try and convince you to vote one way or the other. However, if you have to mislead or lie to support your position, well, your position probably don't hold water. Because if it did, you wouldn't have to lie about it. Oh. No money for housing programs, no money for helping with homelessness. That's kind of true. More accurately would be no money earmarked specifically for housing programs or homelessness. Yeah, the tax revenue raised from this measure goes into a general municipal fund that can be used for anything that the city spends money on, which could include housing and homelessness programs, but also street cleaning, infrastructure repair, trash pickup, signage, all kinds of stuff. And that may be a concern of yours. One could legitimately make an argument and say, I think the money raised from this measure should be earmarked specifically for A, B, and C, rather than just general fund. That could be a fair argument. But This is misleading and dishonest bullshit, and whoever is dumping money in this should feel bad. Shame. Shame. There. That ought to fix politics. Sounds like a bad flyer. Yeah, it doesn't even really say what. Well, I mean, what it says about Measure A is a $10,000 per home housing tax, which is not true. It's not per home. I mean, it does eventually get to $10,000, but it starts at A. But, I'd excuse that, right? But it's $10,000 per additional home that you don't live in for more than half the year. The general idea is if you're rich enough to own second and third homes and not live in them, you probably have enough money to pay some extra taxes. I'm sure you don't like doing that, but I don't like paying $2,000 for my one-bedroom apartment. And one of the reasons that rent is so gall-darn high in this city is because, same reason rent is very high in a lot of other places where rent is high, because people and mostly corporations buy up and sit on a bunch of homes and apartments and nobody lives in them. Which is bad when there's a bunch of people who need a place to live. So, yeah. Jared says most people don't own two houses in the same city state. Yeah. But, I get it. It's like, hey, look, I want to own a city in San Diego and I want to own another one in Timbuktu, wherever, Cheyenne, lovely Cheyenne. Cool. If you don't live here more than half the year, you're gonna have. I'm glad you're in a financial position that you get to own two private residences in different spots in the country. That's very cool. But if you don't live here more than half the year, you're gonna pay a little bit more in taxes. If this measure passes. Do you think that's unfair? Okay. But don't lie about what the measure actually is, because this knowingly implies that Measure A is just adding a $10,000 tax on every home. It's not. It's levying taxes on second homes that you don't live in most of the time, or no one that are empty. Like you can own a property and rent it out. That's fine. It needs to actually have people in it for at least half the damn year. And there's also a bunch of other exceptions. There's a bunch of exceptions in here. Natural disasters, if health concern, if you're in a damn coma and can't manage your properties, that's a thing. There's a thing in there about if you own a property that's 4 or 5 units or less, individual units in the same spot, that counts as like one place. So if you own like a small 4-unit property where all of the residential units are in the same spot, but you only live in one of them, that doesn't count. It really means, different homes in different places. So there's a lot of exceptions in here. Again, there are arguments to be made against this, sure, but golly, I sure would appreciate that anyone who had arguments, and there are some to make against this measure, made them in good faith and in reality. That would be swell. To be frank, it's just a tax on empty homes, not rental properties. Correct. Empty homes. Like, you don't have to live there. Someone has to live there at least half the year. And there's also an appeals, like maybe you actually do actively rent out and part of it burnt down, or the water heater exploded and it's flooded and it took months to repair and you haven't been able to get new people in there. Those are exceptions. So there are actual exceptions to this, right? It's not just black and white, this or that. But yeah, broadly speaking, it's meant to disincentivize people and corporations from squatting on livable spaces because we want people to live in the. Now, if rent was not expensive and everyone was housed, then who gives a shit, right? If literally everyone had a home and rent and mortgages and all that stuff was affordable, then who gives a shit, right? Own as many homes as you want. Doesn't matter. Everyone's got a place to live. Everyone can afford it. You want to own 6 places? Hey, cool. But that's sadly not the world we live in right now. Maybe someday. Yes, maybe someday. Probably not. At least not in my lifetime. Demon. Good thing flyers are a waste of money. Most people don't read it. Yeah, I mean, that is a point. It's like, yeah, this is misleading to the point that I would classify it as thoroughly dishonest. But I think most people pull it out of the mailbox and drop it straight into the recycle. When I lived in Pacific Beach, there was a recycle bin, like a 10-gallon tub, 10-gallon blue recycle tub that sitting out by the mail cubbies that was meant for stuff like that, junk mail and whatnot, and those were always full. I haven't seen those types of mailers in like a decade. I think they maybe stopped doing them because like literally no one read them. They just immediately dropped them into the recycle and never read them. So California had a warehouse fire, says Nexel, and the owner couldn't be found because they were overseas. It was repurposed illegally as a nightclub. Huh. Fire inspection would have caught that. Yep. I don't recall that particular story, but you know, California, big place. I like to think my finger is somewhere in the vicinity of the pulse, if not exactly on it. So anyway, be careful with the little vote yes, vote no, vote whatever flyers. I think the most important thing is to always check and see who's paying for that particular campaign. So last week, excuse me, the week before last, let people build, let people be more dense housing. Yeah, this doesn't have anything to do with like building homes. It's just if you own more than one home, someone needs to live in the damn thing. You know, once we get to a spot where everyone's housed and you know no one's struggling with rent, then yeah, own a bunch of homes. I think that would be fine. But I wanted to talk about the game I did on the Sunday stream the week before last, Of the Devil. I'm going to spoil what happened, so if you didn't watch the stream, sorry. When I was a children, one of the popular types of television show that was on the tube was the murder mystery show. Typified by such stalwarts of the genre like Murder, She Wrote, Columbo, Sherlock Holmes, Poirot, and the like. Basically, you had some detective, or in Jessica Fletcher's case, just some mystery novelist, who would happen to be somewhere where a murder takes place, and they solve the mystery. And every week, someone else dies, and they solve a new mystery, and they finger the phrasing, and they identify the murderer, and justice is served. Huzzah! When I was a kid, I thought it would be neat if there was a show that kind of twisted the formula. I wanted to see a show where the mystery-solving person was actually the murderer. And during the course of the show, the murderer is framing some person to take the fall, and it ends with the big, and it was you kind of moment. What? And they present all of this fabricated and staged and planted evidence that points the finger at some hapless dipstick, and wahaha, they get away with it again. Maybe their Captain Ahab will catch him next week, but probably not because this has been renewed for 3 more seasons. Yeah, I thought that would be a fun idea for a television show, and there have been some shows that are somewhat along those lines. Dexter comes to mind, but not exactly what I was thinking. Which is one of the reasons I played Of the Devil on the Sunday stream 2 weeks ago. Because you play a public defender. I've only played the first episode. This is an episodic series. It's a small studio, so they released a what we played on the stream 2 weeks ago, and they have 2 standalone episodes, and they're working on a third. I've not played the subsequent episodes, just the first one. And what it's set up is you are a public defender. Some guy has been accused of murdering his girlfriend, so you have to do the Phoenix Wright thing and investigate the crime scene and interview the witnesses and spot all the contradictions and get your client off, phrasing. And the twist comes in a really sharp bit of writing where our hapless suspect, once the public defender has proved that he didn't kill his girlfriend, he thanks Morgan, the public defender, the character you're playing. He says, "Oh, thank you," and she's like, "Hey, it's my job," and he says, "No, thank you for believing me." And she says in internal monologue, "Oh, Chris, whatever his name is, I knew from the start that you didn't do it, 'cause I killed her." And that's the twist. She's a serial killer. And I've only played the opening episode. I don't know if this is like her modus operandi, if she's like killing people specifically to get work as a public defender, or killing people and then taking their cases as a PD because she knows they didn't do it, so she knows that she can solve it. I think she gets paid either way, though. And she does say that this is her first murder case, so don't know what her deal is, but yeah, she's a murderer, and she defended the boyfriend of the woman she murdered for her murder. So I really liked that twist. Because it's something I've wanted to see in these types of murder of the week mystery stories for quite some time, and I was tickled pink to see it realized, at least in video game form. Unfortunately, the stream crashed about 3.5 hours in. So you didn't get to see where it goes after that. There's a little bit more of that episode, and some really interesting things happen. For example, Morgan has her own Captain Ahab. She's essentially got a Columbo who, it's pretty clear that she knows it's her, that, her Ahab knows that she's the murderer, but just can't prove it, so they are kind of talking to each other, feigning politeness when they both kind of know that they're adversaries. It's a really interesting dynamic. Oh, and she might get a robot companion in the next episode or something. It's really neat. It's a shame you didn't get to see it because the stream crashed. So I thought it would be fun to play it, to play the rest of it, which we're gonna do. I don't know why the Made with Unity thing is... Why is that, That's interesting. Huh. Alright, let me quit out and restart it. Da, 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 da. So we're just going to look at the last part of the game because I didn't get to do it the last time. Of course, if this doesn't work properly, then no, we're not. Why is that stuck? That's weird. Hang on a second. What if I do this? No? What if I do... If I do this? Huh. Okay, well, this was working earlier. I did test it for some reason. Why is that just the... Come on. Come on. Bitch. Alright, let's do that, and do that. Wow, it's just going to be an asshole about it, okay. Huh. Alright, we'll use a different window then. Okay, so Morgan has just, she's basically internal monologuing and flashing back to when she killed her client's girlfriend. She's known in the press as the Heartbreak Killer, and it kind of annoys her. She says, "And all for the Heartbreak Killer." Sounds like a soap opera villain from a season where the writers were on strike. I'd feel insulted by the label, but no, that's someone else's name. They came up with it. And if the sound is out of balance, let me know. They spread it. They marketed it. Heartbreak's got nothing to do with me. He's just some reclusive, lonely, socially impotent loser who shot 6 people because... Well, I'm sure people will come up with something. That he got rejected one too many times, or whatever. Me, I killed those people because I saw them and I wanted to. And I've killed a lot more than just 6. At least the room is thoroughly trashed now. If I just walked away after seeing that mess by the window, it would have irritated me to no end. Now that it doesn't match the MO of the last 5 perfectly, it'll irritate the cops to no end instead. Good riddance, Heartbreak. You enjoy your 15 minutes in the spotlight. Really savor it. Eighth Demon says, I think all of David Cage's games are bad. Yes. I haven't played all of them, but I've played some of them, and all the ones I've played are genuinely just bad. Bad in an interesting and funny way, but bad. I'm going home. The air's weighty tonight, thick, energized. A heavily foreshadowed summer rain I can feel on every hair. They call this kind of humidity oppressive, but I disagree. The warm tension on your skin, like in those short moments just after the shower turns off when the steam lingers. Yeah. It's always most comfortable right afterwards. Maybe there's no disagreement to be had. Oppressive things can be comforting too. Only the guilty ones run. I don't know about that. But I know I've never felt guilty about any of this. And I walk. Later that morning. This takes place in the future, so think, you know, Blade Runner, Cyberpunk, or whatever. Flat is the young man who was accused of murdering his girlfriend, and he replaced his right arm with a mechanical one to help with his do his city construction work, and it's a whole thing. Sorry, using my left is still... That's okay, you can just initial in those spots. I took a scenic route home courtesy of our fine city's sprawling public transportation and got in a bit after 11. Had myself a thorough shower, drank a glass of milk, did some stretching, made sure my phone was on. What she's talking about again is after she killed this guy's girlfriend, she went back home and took a shower. She's talking about herself. Time went by evenly. Around 1:40 a.m., a posting for public defender work came up. Decent rate, since it was so late and so urgent. I had wagered correctly that the boyfriend would have enough sense to ask for a lawyer, and enough debt that he'd need to be provided one. We just got a thing. Gamble strategy, quote, "Did you mean how to start gambling? How to bet sports on phone? A gambler with a system must be, to a lesser or greater extent, insane." George Augustus Sala, journalist from 28 to 95, the 19th century. Little flavor text there. I think this game does a really nice job with the flavor text. It's a lot of fun. All I had to do was stay awake. Wasn't much competition after 1 in the morning. Okay, where else? Here and here. How did I phrase it earlier? Criminal defense attorneys aren't exactly flush with customers. Why wouldn't I take on a job where I already knew more than the cops? It would have been easy to convince Carlos to plead out. I would have gotten paid the same, too. But easy is dangerous. Carlos was, of course, innocent, so his conviction would never be airtight. There would be doubts, questions, appeals. Maybe even fans, depending on his looks. More attention on HK and his crimes. More headaches. A cold case rotting in the very far back of the public's awareness is always preferable to one open and shut in haste. Now, with no more murders matching HK's MO, there won't be any additional public pressure to find a culprit. Now heartbreak can just starve to death. Out of sight and mind like any other fluke in the system. Almost done. Getting involved with the case this intimately does have its risks. Hell, I might have even overdone things here or there. Like lighting up a smoke inside an interrogation room just to make doubly sure I didn't still smell of gunpowder myself. That London fellow, he's one of the investigating detectives. The London fellow seemed more fixated on it than I would have liked. But obviously everything turned out rosy, and it's worth it for the finality of it all. Seeing the authorities' failings from the best seat in the house, that's just a bonus. Thanks again, Morgan, for everything. I'm sure Diane is grateful, too. Funny. I didn't even know her name. Something the matter? No, sorry, it's just... I was mad when I left the apartment. I know she was, too. So when she died... Death was instantaneous, Carlos. I can't imagine that she was in any pain. In fact, I can guarantee she was dead before she hit the ground. No, I know, but I just kept thinking that she might have died angry at me. That she must have died hating me. Well, let's present some evidence. To tell you the truth, Carlos, there's something I've been wondering about myself. What is it? Something I noticed in the ARC's data that I didn't quite understand. A piece of the puzzle I couldn't fit in anywhere else. But maybe you can make sense of it. Meds for a martyr, non-lethal doses present. So we'll play this card. It's the only one there. And if we hadn't investigated the scene thoroughly, we wouldn't have this card to play at this time. So there. Where did you find that? That pill organizer was found on the victim. She had it grasped in her hand when she died. Obviously, the police added it to the ARCs, but it was quickly ruled irrelevant. Seems like it contained triprexazone, prescribed to help modders with phantom itches. They're small tablets, and those are tricky clasps, too, for a pill organizer. Could be hard to handle with an unsteady hand. No one will ever know what she was feeling when she died. Even if they did, feelings are complicated. You can feel angry, happy, and sad all at the same time. But, as far as facts are concerned, it would appear that when she died, what she was doing was setting out your medication for the week. To my eyes, anyway. Later that morning. Long night. That was too far just now. Practically rubbing it in his face. It's not like I care about his feelings. I doubt I'll ever even see him again. But overstepping like that is pure hubris. And hubris invites a downfall. So why did I even bother? It was the last piece of the puzzle, I suppose. I'll just need to show more restraint next time. Though there won't be a next time for Heartbreak. The gun's in custody, there's no more bullets left. There won't be a seventh victim, there won't be any more leads to pursue. The media will move on to their next obsession, I'll move on to my next MO. And no one will ever found you. District Attorney Rockford. Sorry, can I try that again? I'm so fried. By all means. Counselor Morgan. Morning, noon, or night. You're always so put together. Thank you. I don't get it. How do you sleep at night? Pardon? Do you do white noise, aromatherapy? Whatever you're doing, I need to steal it. God. I must have bags under my eyes dark enough for the dumpsters. Hey, Lee. Assistant District Attorney Emma Rockford. She's a prosecutor. The lawyer who... So essentially the Miles Edgeworth of this game, if Phoenix Wright was the murderer. She's a prosecutor, the lawyer who argues for the state in court, trying to prove a defendant's guilt. And despite her sometimes unkempt appearance, she's probably the sharpest person to fill the position in decades. I should know, since I haven't beaten her once. Worse yet, she has the remarkable ability to compartmentalize all that adversarial energy and only bring it out in the courtroom. Because this is the Molehill Mountain podcast, I'm just, I did regular podcasty stuff for the first half, and decided to play the last little bit of the game that we couldn't get to 2 weeks ago because the stream crashed. So... it's part of what makes her good at her job. And hard for me to read. Should I buy a new mattress? What have they got you doing at this ungodly hour, Emma? There's Emma. She's 165 centimeters, not telling us the weight. O positive, district attorney, assistant. Likes coffee, toffee, and haute couture. Dislikes sunburns, dead pixels, and eye strain. I feel ya. Eggs, Benedict. Plays chess, shogi, and idle savant stars. And is a cat person, so we like Emma. What they got you doing at this ungodly... Oh, well... Actually, I'm here for you. Me? Your client was a suspect in the Heartbreak killings. That's my case. Well, then you must have been relieved finding out that you won't have to go to the trial against me. No? Why would I be worried about going up against you? It's always the unintended barbs with her. So, you're working with those detectives? Yeah, London and the new girl, Reyes. They've been reporting to me in preparation for trial. Preparation for trial? That seems ambitious. I guess they gave you the rundown. They've been doing everything they can, but it's hard to catch a killer who leaves behind so little. It's hard to kill while leaving so little behind. So, Reyes told you they had HK in custody and you popped out of bed all excited to run down here. Heh, hardly. I haven't slept in 40 hours. Too much on my mind. So when I heard about a case with a single female victim shot through the heart, yeah, my ears perked up. That's about all. No? I mean, Carlos Flad, a serial killer? The same serial killer that's outsmarted the state for weeks? She's not using his middle name. He was found with the murder weapon, but I can answer that any number of ways. What were we asking here? It couldn't have been him. Oh, go away, mouse. Sip an LDA fan. Taken at 9 p.m. Shows right-handed shooter. Lucky shot. Yeah, there's a... Probably any of these would work. That may be true, but then I glanced at the report. You glanced at it? No gunpowder residue on him or his clothes? Right. Too remorseful, too apologetic in that note. Whatever it was about, his dominant arm modded with documented sensitivity issues never could have made shots that clean. Not without getting close enough to leave scorch marks. Not to mention he's too tall for the ballistics entry angles. Probably too heavy not to leave imprints. She got all that from a glance? But I'm sure a competent lawyer like yourself pointed all that out the minute you walked in here. Of course. Worst part is, she's not even being sarcastic. Yeah, of course it couldn't have been him. Long-term relationship, physically imposing, argumentative, so not the type to bottle things up. He didn't match the profile. Profile? Yeah, Right, sorry, you've probably never heard of it. I know what a goddamn profile is. A profile's a reconstruction of a criminal's psychology based on evidence from their crimes. Profiling. Did you mean profile how to delete? Profile filtering? Trying to get your dating profile just right can be a full-time job. Let Valentine take the reign with our automated, secure, and confidential tools that put your better-than-best foot forward and put the sexy back in finding the right match. Not interested in sponsored search results? See further with a premium account. Kinda fallen out of fashion for the last few decades. Not much need to guess about the why when 99 times out of 100 the who is caught on camera. Or before they even leave the house. I've had to find some real fossils and oddballs to get advice on how to go about it, but I think I'm getting the hang of it. Well, tell us about profiling, Emma. So this profiling, it's some kind of investigative technique? The theory is that a crime can tell you something about the nature of the person who committed it. Stabbing? Overkill. Points to passion, rage, lust. They probably knew their victim. Poison and guns, meanwhile, means they can't overpower their victims physically. And then there's the things you can assume about nearly all serial offenders. Childhood trauma, prior criminal record, few or no meaningful attachments. There's a lot of recurring themes in their stories. The detectives say HK doesn't leave evidence. So, how much can his crimes possibly tell you? That he's diligent. Almost perfect. Highly intelligent, painstakingly organized, and with enough criminal connections to get his hands on an untagged firearm. It's rare to see her this animated outside the courtroom. It's almost like she's enjoying herself. Sheltered house cat who's picked up the scent of a mouse for the first time. A lone wolf, educated, but all her playfully lethal instincts coming to life. Probably overqualified or undervalued, though I'm not thrilled about the fact that in that metaphor, I would be the... Know what I mean? Definitely. And considering the marksmanship, the detectives said that HK would have needed insider information on optics. So does that mean heart breaks in law enforcement? Never in 10 billion years, pardon me. Oh. Antisocial, independent, despises authority? Well, that sounds like Reyes. That'd be like a stallion applying for a job on a merry-go-round. It's a pretty good one. They'd be kicking kids in the head after the first full rotation. You do know that real horses aren't part of a merry-go-round, right? Are they? Right, that's exactly how I'd put it. There must be some connection to the police, though. Maybe secondary or tertiary. These types can't help but insert themselves. Insert themselves? I don't do anything even resembling that. Wait, if HK's not a cop, how did they know about the blackout timing? Crime metastatistics analysis, probably. Pardon. Take the emergency response times from across the city and map them out, look for brief spikes and delays, chart out the dips and... Sorry, technical, I know. But all the requisite data is publicly available. With a map, a spreadsheet, a calculator, anyone could reverse engineer the timing if they wanted to. That is such an unpleasant thought, Emma. Tell us about Heartbreak's MO, Emma. Well, at least this Heartbreak maniac will slow down now that he's lost his weapon. He didn't lose it. He chose to leave it behind. That tells me he's confident he can do just fine without it. And it just makes me even more certain that these aren't his only kills. Were there other shootings with the same MO? No, not that I've found. Other victims that fit the description? Nope. But I'm not overly focused on the victim's appearance anyway. I mean, these 6 victims all look like each other, but they also look like a lot of people. That's true. Hell, they kinda look like me. Do they? Sure. What? You don't see it? I hadn't thought about it. Point is, no one can kill that cleanly when it's their first time. Getting things that perfect takes practice. So I know that HK must have had a lot more than 6 occasions to practice, Morgan. And that's why I think Heartbreak is a misnomer. You've got something catchier in mind? I just don't think shooting them in the heart has any particular significance. If anything, it's a testament to their accuracy and their cold-blooded efficiency. The best possible use of 6 untagged bullets? 6 kills, guaranteed. No matter what kind of life support mods they were packing. Their real signature isn't the bullets or the gun. It's the perfection. That's hard to wrap your head around. I'm saying that these 6 murders were just a fluke, a slip-up, a mistake. Exactly, a mistake. They got too clean, too efficient, and now they've got the public's attention. It's no wonder they're so pissed. Are you talking about the crime scene? Yeah, probably threw the detectives for a loop, right? Based on what you've said, I don't blame them. Whoever trashed that room doesn't seem like the smooth operator you've been describing. Oh, on the contrary. I don't follow. This was the last bullet, their last shot. The other 5 were perfect. So if anything was out of place this time around, they must have thrown one hell of a temper tantrum. You make them sound like a child. Childish. And cowardly. Two-faced. Someone who hates to lose almost as much as they love to win. She is Columboing the shit out of this. Your profile, and that's kind of why I love this. Your profile tell you all that? That? No. That part's just... takes one to know one. So, to summarize, you're looking for a cold-blooded, faceless, perfectionist killer who you think has no persistent MO or victim type. In a city with an 8-digit population. Well, good luck! Oh, I don't need luck. I only need more information. Well, I'm sure the city would be happy to provide you with more resources. No, Morgan. I mean, I need more crime scenes. Oh. Sad truth is, if Heartbreak walked away today, I'd never catch him. Only way my net narrows is if they keep piling up bodies. Not a very fair trade, is it? No, it isn't. But getting screwed over is a given. It's a deal with the devil. Fair enough. Whew. Okay, that rant was pretty morbid and detailed. I need to get out more, or sleep more. Or sleep less, but harder. You think a higher thread count would help? Don't worry about it. I'm always happy to listen to you ramble. It's a lot more pleasant than having to face you in the courtroom. Sorry, but that's the adversarial process. So no hard feelings, yeah? No hard feelings. We're both just doing what we do. I could use a cup of coffee. How about you? Don't tempt me. And if you fall asleep face first onto the table, I won't even take a picture. Okay. Just don't expect this to make a difference next time we're at each other's throats. Heartbreak won't claim any more victims. In 2 weeks, the media will have moved on to the next sensation. And the police will have moved on to cases they actually stand a chance of closing. That's what people do. But Emma is different. She'll set it aside and work a dozen other cases, never bringing it up. But a private corner of that frustratingly sharp mind of hers will continue to whittle away at it. Never finishing, but never quitting either. So I can't afford to take my eyes off of her. As long as that's the case, I may as well try to enjoy the view. And that's the end of episode 0. Or the prologue, or the demo, or whatever you want to call it. Oh look, an android. Which means you're going to be living with my friend for a while. Okay. For how long? I'm sorry, I don't know. There's no need to look that upset over it. My face barely moved. It may as well have been a blatant pout from where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that. This friend of yours, they're trustworthy? Absolutely. In fact, I trust them more than anyone. Hey, come on, it'll be fun. Really? Really. Educational, too. I think you could stand to learn a lot from someone like Morgan. So, that's how the there actually is a little bit more that you can dig into in some little special bits. This android gal, she there's a couple little bits where she does interviews of all the major characters in this episode, and there's some fun stuff to pluck out of there. But yeah, I really like this game, and I'm definitely going to pick up the next episode at some point. I think the world building's great. I think the flavor text is complimentary and fun. I think the writing is very sharp. I like the little poker / gambling theming that they've added to the gameplay, where you select evidence or challenge an interviewee. I think it helps move it a little bit past straight visual novel and give it a little bit more gameplay interest, because that is a problem for me a lot of times, particularly with games like Phoenix Wright or AI the Somnium Files. I'm pointing over there because I actually own at least the first 2 games. They're the 999, the Nonary games, 999 and Virtue's Last Reward, and whatever the other one was called. They're a lot of fun. I really like them, but sometimes they can lean a bit too heavily. Danganronpa is another one. It's a tough balance, right? To have what's essentially a visual novel, but enough actual gameplay to make it feel like a video game and not just a visual novel. And that line's going to be in different places for different gamers. So, there we go. That's the last little bit of The Devil. Maybe it piqued your interest too. And that's it for me for this evening. Tomorrow we will start Trails from Cold Steel 3. Trails of Cold Steel 3. My post-Cold Steel 2 video is not ready. Oh well. Maybe this week or next. Probably week after next. I just I could have just called the script done and filmed it last night and spent all day editing it and had it ready for tomorrow morning, but I wouldn't have been as happy with it, and it doesn't really matter if I get it out before we start Cold Steel 3, so I'm going to take a little extra time to polish up the script and rehearse it so that I can deliver it a bit more cleanly, and I think it'll make a better video. So look for that in the coming weeks, but we will be starting Cold Steel 3 tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. And until then, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.